really important that if you can get a few moments each day to really be quiet, because one of the things that I love from Maya Angelou is a saying that she said that in the silence, that's when you can hear the voice of God. And I think that's so important to take this time to start evaluating where you are now and thinking about where you may want to go in the future. I think this is going to be with us for some time. But I think on the other side of this, there are opportunities as well. So while this has produced a real crisis in our lives, but I think that there's some opportunities that we need to start thinking about. How do we leverage that, and where do we go from here? And where do you want to see yourself?
Miss Teresa Jones.
Hey everyone, I'm really excited to be here. Willie does a lot of singing praises for all of us. Before I give my comment, I want to make sure I sing your praises, Miss Willie. You know, in a time of crisis where we can't get together, you're still spearheading these efforts to bring everyone together, to use your platform to share information. You are a businesswoman yourself, own the largest, I think, minority-owned business in the state of Mississippi, and you've been a great asset to this organization, to women and men across the state of Mississippi. And I just want to make sure that you have some praises for what you've done and the things that you're continuing to do for us. My advice. So I'm a little different from my peers in that I think this is a time for folks to kind of gather as much information as possible so you can know what's available to you, what kinds of resources you can get from the federal government, the state government, and use this time to just kind of soak in as much information as possible so that you're not left out of resources that are available that you may be eligible for, including your business, small businesses grants and loans, including disaster grants and loans, including things that you can get for your family and for yourselves. My advice is to continue to read. There are a lot of resources out there like the NAACP and One Voice, and your legislators, they're putting out information about, how do you go through the process for getting resources during this crisis where a lot of folks are suffering financially. A lot of folks are being laid off. And I want everyone out there who is listening, who is uncertain, who is kind of worried about how long this is going to take and how long this crisis is going to be going on, make sure you're doing your due diligence so that you can take care of your families and share the information with other people who may not be who may not have access to the information that you have access to. So I encourage everyone to just, take some time to soak in information. There's a lot of things out there that's misinformation, including these myths of how you get rid of the virus or, gargling water, things like that. And, make sure you go to the CDC website directly. Make sure you go to your state representative's websites directly and soak in the truth so you can find what's real and what's not so that you can protect yourselves and your family.
Well, thank you so much. All of that is good information to share to the women that are out there and listening. And I want to start, Dr. Oglesby, with community. Because what I'm seeing is across the board, community working together differently, the impact that is affecting different communities differently. And I think that's my big concern moving forward is I want to start with a lot of the work that you're doing around trauma and ask the question, how has or will this trauma, and one of the biggest traumas experiences that we've experienced in many, many years is going to impact families and communities. How is it going to show up in our lives so we have awareness of that? And what should we watch for and have an awareness of and be prepared for around this trauma and how it's going to impact every aspect of our lives?
Well, and thank you for that. And I'm so grateful that we have in this forum to discuss issues like this, because I think that there's some really interesting things that are happening right now. They're both opportunities, but they're also producing some crisis. One of the things that we know from just watching television over the last couple of days is that they're finally realizing that this pandemic is impacting the African American community very heavily. Most of the deaths that are taking place in the African American community. And we also see that, the people who are catching the virus are basically people who do not have the luxury of going home and working from home. A good part of the population in our community, they're still working because they're essential. They're working in grocery stores, drug stores. They're still out every day. They're dealing with this. And as a result, they're catching the virus because they also have more weakened immune systems. So I'm very concerned in terms about that because it's really highlighting and pinpointing some of the income inequalities that exist, and that we need to start looking and thinking about that in terms of education and what happens with communities, because most of our kids won't be back in school this academic year. And most of them did not have a laptop at home, So the education piece will be critical for our communities in terms of how far behind potentially will our children become. And so I think as a community, we need to come together and address that issue and demand services for our children so that they will not fall too far behind. And I'm also deeply concerned about the escalation of domestic violence.
Wow.
I just shared that with my students at Alcorn, the fact that this pandemic is seeing escalations of domestic violence around the world, globally. And we know in the United States that that's happening. Last night, I was deeply concerned in listening to the local news about the number of shootings in Jackson. Mm-hmm. That's interpersonal violence. Mm. And the fact that these families are locked together right now where they can't often escape each other, that's creating some problems. So I think this is a time that we need to take a very serious look in terms of what's happening in our community. I was just thinking about the saying from the late Chokwe Lumumba that this is a time to agitate, educate, and organize. Mm-hmm. We need to start doing some reorganization in our community and seeing in terms of what that happened, what's happening here. So there's an opportunity for us to start looking at and restructuring and maybe even getting back to how our communities used to come together, because I think in some ways we've gotten so distanced from each other. So we need to start looking and thinking in terms of that and start exercising more self-care, because I think our lives have been so busy and we've been so in tune to everything else. We haven't really looked in terms of what's happening in our own homes, in our backyard, around the community. We need to get back to that. Because seriously, we need to start thinking about what the next chapter for us will be. And we can only do that if we start coming together in forums like this, but also getting together, really talking with our families, because I think that's a lost art as well.
And you made you even highlighted a very first step is having these conversations with our family, because with the social distancing issues, that's what we are there. I mean, we're in the homes together. We're on the roof together. We have time together that we haven't had time together like this in a very long period of time. So even where do we begin as a family, looking at having awareness of what we can use this as an opportunity to change how the conversations we're having with our children, with which spouses and each other. You mentioned domestic violence. I think we have to say to women over and over and over again, they have to communicate. If you're right now, you're listening to us talking and you are experiencing some issues, even if you think it's not physical violence, even if you're going right now, you're struggling with, because of everything that's going on, maybe your husband or even, I'm saying husband, just say spouse, maybe your spouse the most wonderful person before this happened, but he or she is going through, do not know how to deal with the loss of their job, being the provider in that household, and you're experiencing some differences in your home that you feel threatened, you feel stressed. then you need to make a phone call. And Dr. Oglesby, right now, will you share a telephone number where individuals can reach out? If you don't have that number handy, I'll give you time to pull that out. But we want to share a number for the individuals to be able to call and to reach out to individuals. We want to give you our number again at Women for Progress, 601-259-6770. You can call us, you can email us, you can text us, and we will reach out to you, and we will answer your call and connect you with the resources that can get you help. Even if it's maybe at this point you just need somebody to talk to, and we want to connect you with that particular individual. So I want to move a little bit, and I'll come back to this conversation also, Dr. Oglesby, because I want to talk a little bit about our finances, and that's so important right now. How do we protect our financial security? And we'll get back to that conversation. But Teresa Kennedy, I want to also jump right into, of course, so many, even members of our organization. We have over 200 members that many of them are entrepreneurs and women-owned businesses. And right now, some of them may have even started their businesses in the last 6 months. And they did not know and anticipate this particular situation. So what should women-owned businesses be reviewing in their businesses right now? What resources should women-owned business tap into right now and make sure that they are very proactive on?
So that's a great question. So I've been a small business owner for, 10 years now, starting with Red August, an online business, which was a side hustle for me, and then moving and transitioning over to 5520, which is a full-time business for me. And so there's a lot of information out there that's available. I guess the biggest thing now, we know that from the coronavirus aid relief, the CARES Act, I'll call it, Economic Security, Act, also known as CARES Act, there was $350 billion allocated for small businesses. And this is really, really great. The only thing is you got to have your ducks in a row to really take advantage of that money that's available through that assistance program for small businesses. SBA.gov is a huge resource I would strongly suggest. But I want to kind of get into those, one of the programs that's offered through SBA lenders. So there's $350 billion that's available. And I pulled a little information. There's one program that's called the Small Business Paycheck Protection Program. Mm-hmm. And when I say have your ducks in a row, is meaning that you have a payroll. And this, let me just say this. All small businesses are eligible for this program. Again, you just have to have your ducks in a row. So this program is for small businesses with funds to pay up to 8 weeks of payroll costs, including benefits. You can even use it to pay your mortgage, your rent on your building, and even utilities for your business. So this is going to be a huge game changer for a lot of businesses. One of the really great things about it is fully forgiven. So if the funds are used from this loan are used for payroll costs, interest on your mortgages, your rent, your utilities, 75% of it, or at least 75% of it can be forgiven if used for payroll. Now, if you had to lay employees off, or if you're going to have to rehire really quickly, or if you just maybe not lay them off, but they're still receiving payment for working, you can apply for this loan and it be forgiven. There are no fees this time that are going to be charged for small businesses. You do have to go through a lender who is an SBA approved lender to take advantage. To complete this. But it's a game changer because even if the part you do have to pay back with the loan, it can be deferred for up to 6 months. And so they are making this where almost anybody could qualify. Again, your ducks have to be in a row. You have to have started your business before February 15th. You have to have at least paid yourself or your employees through a payroll system so that there's documentation for that, to support that you are a legitimate business and that these funds will be used for XYZ. Again, when you're receiving government money, there are things you're going to have to do. So there's going to be some follow-up you'll have to do in addition to you receiving it. But the biggest thing that's happening right now this rolled out, you could apply. Some businesses, small businesses, and sole proprietors could apply starting last Friday. But coming this Friday, independent contractors and self-employed individuals can apply. Well, already the system, unfortunately, I should say, the system was not set up to accommodate this huge mass of people. And with these limited funds, it's so important that you apply as quickly as possible, as soon as possible, because once the funds are exhausted, they are gone. And so I imagine between Friday and even today, there are a lot of people that have probably overloaded the system with applying. And so lenders are having a hard time right now even getting through, but that's not to discourage anyone. If any small business that's really got it going on in terms of you having a system in place or a program in place for your payroll, for your employees and all of that, you have a CPA that can offer some assistance so that maybe when you go to the bank, you've already completed the application. Like I have a copy of the application right here. It talks about, it even gives directions on how to complete this application. It is a couple pages, 3 pages. Again, it does include the actual application is just 2 pages. 2 pages. But it does come with directions for how to complete it. But I would strongly encourage you to maybe even get with your CPA and have them look over it. But, not everybody has a CPA or not everybody has the sophisticated payroll system. And there's one that I use actually called gusto.com, and I'm not promoting now because I don't get paid for it. Mm-hmm. But it's very simple and easy. I've actually suggested it to a couple of clients. That's one of the programs that's available to small businesses. Again, there are a lot of resources that's out there. Like I said, SBA is offering has a lot of valuable information. Mm-hmm. I don't want people to get overwhelmed by the amount of information that's out there because it can be overwhelming.
This is an important time, Teresa, also to remind people to go to your trusted sites like SBA.gov. Start there. That's where you need to start, at those trusted sites, because I'm finding there's a lot of up and coming businesses that have started just to be able to gouge people and charge them fees for processing these applications, which are basic questions. As you stated, it's a 2-page application, and start there. If you say, well, I don't know what else I'm going to need, start by completing the application. Just do the first steps. And I want to say to women, I cannot say enough, especially women-owned businesses, and all of us that are going through this thing, everything takes a step. Don't think about the overwhelming, I'm not going to qualify. I don't know what I need. I don't have that form. I'm not sure if I paid this person right. Whatever it is, take the steps. Start with step 1, which leads to step 2, and go on and on and on. And look, you don't have to be a genius. Don't feel bad that you don't have every answer to every question. Give yourself a break and just stay to the pace to keep yourself informed. Get you a list of people. Make you a list of 10 people that say, okay, I can call this person about this. I can call this person about this, and have that your lean in list. Okay. But it's a step-by-step process. Go ahead, Teresa.
I was just going to add also, for even those small business owners, that may personally have bills at home, I would encourage them to reach out to their, for instance, I got an email this morning from Allstate, my insurance, my car insurance and homeowners insurance. But the email said that they were going to give back 20% back to, because I'm set up on auto draft. They said they were going to give me back 20% for April and May for my payment. Wow. So it was simple. I opened the email. They're just common sense things. And I know we've been bombarded with a lot of emails, but there are certain ones you definitely need to pay attention
Well,
to.
I'm an Allstate customer. I didn't get that email, or I overlooked it, Teresa. I'm going back to my inbox and check. Yeah.
That's why we're here. So, it was simple. All I had to do was hit a button that saying that I would accept it, and that was very good to know. But again, check with your mortgages. If you can defer the payment, your mortgage payments or your car payments for 2 or 3 months, do that. I would suggest you do that, because we don't know how long this is going to be going on, and people are definitely trying to make wise decisions when it comes to their finances. I definitely would tell you to read the fine print, ask a lot of questions. I actually was reading something today on Facebook, and someone was saying, don't do it, when they said about deferring your loan payments. And the guy said, you don't want to defer it because you're going to have a balloon payment at the end of the month. And I was like, that's not necessarily true. That may be one of the options for people, is after the 3 months you deferred the loan payment or the mortgage payment, you may well have a balloon payment. But what my bank is offering is, it's just those 3 months are going to be tacked on. So if I had 15 more months to pay off my loan, I now will have 18 more months to pay off the loan. Right. And so that's something that you definitely want to make sure that before you sign any papers, ask questions, find out about that. Know what you're getting into. Like Willie said, there are people who are making big money off scamming people. And so this, for me, they're primarily targeting a certain group of people, probably our seniors more than anybody. And so, when my mom, I have access to her email, I go in and delete all those little emails that she gets or she's getting now saying, hey, we can help you do this with your stimulus money or whatever. Because those are the most vulnerable people that are going to get scammed. And it's very unfortunate. And we got to make sure that our seniors and our elderly persons are protected during this time as well. I wanted to throw that in there.
Can I just add one other thing to that as well? Because one of the things, I also do some work around financial social work. And I know one of the things that happen oftentimes with low-income families, women, we hate thinking about our bills. We get very stressed out about thinking about, payments and how much money is coming in. And so we avoid those things. I'm going to encourage people, rather than approaching, looking at your bills and your payments and what's coming at you right now, take it from a point of empowerment. Because, that's a way that you can kind of turn this around for yourself in terms of, what do I have to pay? Let me talk to my, creditors. Right now, everybody's in the same boat. Mm-hmm. So, it's not like, you're any different from anybody else. There are families making a lot more money than you're making that's in this same situation. Trust me, they are calling, and so take this from a point of empowerment to say, I'm going to take a real strengths-based look at this, and I'm going to sit down with my bills and figure out where I need to go with this. And so don't be afraid in terms of tackling this situation on. This actually can help you more than hurt you. And so I just want to put that out, because I know people get sometimes antsy when they start thinking about this, but this is just the opposite, because right now, more than any other time, your creditors are probably willing to work with you as opposed to being judgmental of you.
Exactly, exactly. And actually, a lot of lenders are even calling on their customers and say, "This is what we have to offer. Do you want to do that?" I got a call from one of my credit card companies who have waived my interest for the next 12 months, and I said, "Wow!" They called me. I said, "Wow!" I said, "Yeah." It's not going to cost me anything. So and then there's some lenders who are reducing the interest rate on your credit cards and things like that. So but as Dr. Osby said, is that this is the time for us to open the door and call, because now they are much more open to, even if you have a mortgage, even if you're paying rent, you need to call and talk to your landlord, because he knows what's happening right now. He might say to you, well, look, your rent was $900, but I know you ain't gonna, you don't have that because you're not working. Just give me $250 a month for the next 3 months,
Yeah.
and don't worry about the rest. We're not going to worry about the rest. It's between you and he, or you and she, and everybody's situation is different. So I think and when we talk about these hard times, we hate to use the word opportunity, but there's some opportunities out there for us. And we as a community, especially communities of color, we have got to grab hold of it, and we got to not wait until people ask us. We have got to make sure that we are doing it proactively and strategically. And I want to say to women out there, this is time for us to work together like we have never worked together before. We have got to link to sisters like we have never linked to each other before. We have to throw down those walls that we have had before like we have never threw down those walls before. And we got to come out this thing together, empowered together, and we got to come out of it better than we was even before. And many of us, we may be okay. We were okay before this situation, and we had our situation set up that we're going to work through it. But let me tell you, even you who think that you had it together and you're going to work out together, you can even be better on the other side of this thing. So you can help empower other women and help empower other girls. I tell you, I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound crazy, but I am excited. I'm excited because I see what's going to happen on the other side. I see the exciting things that's going to happen on the other side. I see different attitudes that's going to change. I see all of us being stronger together with this thing. And I tell you, I am just giddy. And Ms. Teresa, we have bring you into this conversation. I'm going to move a little bit to the politics. Because in all of this, we're worrying about our personal situation, our businesses. We're trying to get our kids and educated and make sure that they're doing everything that's there. So it's a lot on our plates. But we cannot take our eyes off the prize and off all of those other important issues. And we're talking about politics. We're talking about leadership. So I want to start this conversation around politics on what leadership looks like. We got a presidential election that's coming up. And before this crisis hit, a lot of us concerned that we were going to end up with the same leadership in place for the next 4 years. But this thing has also changed and began to, for people who have been on the support of particular leadership that has not been part of all the people and for all the people, are now looking at it and say, okay, I've been hit in the pocket and I don't see real leadership here, and this is a little frightening. So let's talk about the presidential election and some of the issues that we as women need to make sure that we keep our eyes on, and also how do we also make sure that we're continuing to focus on these issues and not leaving off the table.
So right now, a lot of things are at standstill when it comes to national politics. Hold on one second. So a lot of things are on, one of my best friends is here and on loud TV anyway. So right now, a lot of these campaigns rely on small dollar donations from people in order to operate, to get their mailers out, to put things on the television, ads, and so on and so forth. People are getting laid off. They don't have $20 to contribute to a national campaign or even a local one. And because of that kind of shortage of income at the very basic level with people who support these entities and these different candidates, you're seeing a lot of ads being flowed down on the national news for presidential candidates, as well as some of their statewide Senate candidates across the country. There's been a lot of things flow down. And right now, the president is the only one that's getting a whole lot of earned media. Mm-hmm. What does leadership look like? I know right now we're seeing what it doesn't look like. The president ignored this virus for months. The president and many leaders in the Republican Party called it a hoax, said it was not real. Democrats are blowing it out of proportion. And I try to look at both sides of things. I try not to be hyper partisan, even though I am a Democrat, because I do know that there are things that are inflated and there are things that are not necessarily telling the whole side of the story. But you got tweets, Facebook posts, and live statements on news where there are prominent people discounting this virus, saying that it isn't a big deal, saying that it isn't happening. And because of that delay in response, because of that delay in action, we now have thousands of people who are dead, who might not have been otherwise had we made a decision as a country, as a nation, to just crack down on social distancing, on staying home, on just kind of injecting these resources into the economy before things got dire. And I think, we missed an opportunity there. I'm really, really excited and proud of our local leaders of just kind of taking the mantle forward. There are a lot of mayors across the state of Mississippi in particular who, without federal guidance, without statewide guidance, said, this is what we're going to do in our city. We're going to issue curfews. People are going to go home. We're going to shut down unessential businesses. We're going to make sure that we slow this, do our part in slowing the spread. And, a lot of people are catching up to that, but I am afraid that because we missed out on those key months in January, in February, in March, now we're at a point where we don't know when the apex is going to be, and the apex is at the tip of the highest point of infections and deaths, where, we don't know if our hospitals in Mississippi are going to have the capacity to manage the influx of people getting sick and dying. And even now, we have the highest rate of hospitalizations in the country, Mississippi.
I want to pause. I want to pause right there for a moment to highlight what you said, Teresa, too, when you talk about hospitals and healthcare and where we are. Because when we talk about the issues that we have to understand how politics plays into this thing. When we talk about healthcare in the state of Mississippi and where we are, we've been fighting for Medicaid expansion. We've been fighting for affordable healthcare in the state of Mississippi and access for all. So these are the times that we have to put our lamp on these particular issues and let it shine bright. Because when we go to the polls year after year in every election, this is why we have to vote for real leadership. It's not about Republican or Democrat. It's about the welfare of citizens of this state, and we have to have good leadership for that. We have to go to the polls and vote for people who are going to be govern all the people and who are going to make decisions that impact families and to improve and empower families and take the care of families. So that's why it's important. So we have to take a moment and just highlight and connect the dots to people that how important this is for us now.
Yeah, and we have some Republican leaders who were also fighting for Medicaid, in support of Medicaid expansion and in support of getting it on top of this virus early on. Unfortunately, a lot of those fell on deaf ears until it was too late, or it's beginning to be too late. I do want to, jump on what you said about connecting the dots. People, I don't want anyone to be complacent and say, that's it. Somebody's lost the election now. The election is 6-7 months away. Mm-hmm. It's still a lot of time for history to be rewritten, for people to spin something into something that we have to do our due diligence to say, absolutely, this was a botched leadership. You did not do what was supposed to be done to protect the people of this country, and we will not forget that. We have an obligation to say, okay, in November, I'm going to vote my conscience. I'm going to vote my health. I'm going to vote my parents' health. A lot of people were feeling insulated from this because I was being post on Facebook of folks still going golfing and riding golfing carts together and still going out to the country clubs and still doing all these other things. And now people are dying. People are dying of all races and genders and age groups. There are young people who are still going out, going to beaches thinking they were insulated from this. And now you have young people being hospitalized and dying because they had asthma when they were a kid, or because they have some pre-existing condition that they've been living with all this time. When it comes to things like this pandemic, it is important, it is critical that we have leadership in place who prepare and plan and trust the scientists and trust our healthcare service workers and provide and create a plan that would alleviate some of the things that are happening, that we're seeing happening now. And in my opinion, this could have been managed more effectively. There was a pandemic, White House pandemic office before last year when President Trump fired everyone. And now that when this thing arose, there were no professionals in place to actually manage it. And these things like that, like there was something, you gutted it, and now we need it. It's one of those things where I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And that's what happened with, I think, in this current climate, due to the, and as it relates to the pandemic.
Well, this is, we got a few more minutes, but I want to get a couple more topics in. Teresa, you have ran for office in a very prominent role and had a very inspiring campaign. You have worked on other campaigns, empowering other people who are running for office. Even for mayor of the city of Jackson, you were one of the campaign leaders on an election there. So I want to bring up this question because we're coming back to this thing about opportunity, especially around women. How can women use this as an opportunity to come together for future impact?
Well, I think women can come. I saw something on Facebook that a friend of mine posted, and it made so much sense. She said the only way we're going to get through this is together. And I think you've alluded to that as well, is that women are going to have to lean on other women. And we're so used to being territorial, and we're so used to doing things on our own and wearing this cape. And I think the first thing we need to do is get a mindset that things are different right now. And that, and give yourself some grace that if you don't get it all done today, you will at some point. Doing that first positions you for all the other things that need to happen. So having worked these campaigns, having worked for the city of Jackson, and having worked for an organization that does work surrounding women-owned businesses, I understand the challenges that a lot of women often have with owning a business. The best thing I can suggest to them is stay grinding, stay doing what you're doing. I definitely think one of the most important things you have to do, like I said, is a mindset, but also self-discipline. Because if you were used to running your business as a part-time hustle because you only had these so many hours dedicated, but now you're working from home, so you may have more time to dedicate to your business, or maybe you're still trying to figure things out because not only are you maybe at home, your children are at home, and so you're having to be the teacher, the mama, the business owner, all of that all in one, under one roof, could be overwhelming. But you're going to have some self-discipline. You're going to have some boundaries. You're going to set some hours to when you can do certain things. And you may be working at night. The best time for you to work is late at night when everything is quiet. But take advantage of the resources that are available. Again, trust the resources. SBA.gov. There are a few more, and I'll get those posted to the Facebook page, the Women for Progress Facebook page, and so that you'll be able to just access the link right away. Even for parents who are first-time teachers, I guess, or having to homeschool their kids now, I'll share some information for them on where they can find they can also go to the Bing Path. There's also there's a couple links on there on valuable free resources to parents who are having to now take on the role as the lunch lady, the teacher, the janitor, all in one. So there's some resources there for them to help with their kids being at home with them. I think that was important to say. Willie, you mentioned the hospitals, or Teresa did. In this stimulus package, there was $100 billion dedicated to the hospitals. I think the biggest issue with getting that money out now, because like what Teresa said, we did not do all the things that we need to do. There's a rush for resources. You got 50 states who are applying and reaching out to the same people for the same resources rather than us having had a plan in place. So some things are going to take a little time getting down the pipeline. I think the other day we talked about HBCUs. I wanted to mention that. I did talk to a friend who oversees a Title III program at an HBCU here in Mississippi, and he shared with me there are two ways that the money is going to come down. One, there is he mentioned, I read there's a $12.6 billion package of funds that's going to every college. So that money is going to be shared, but it's going to be based on, which is interesting. So the HBCUs are actually going to get more money than they would get from the other money that's set aside for just HBCUs and minority schools, or PBIs they call private black institutions. So that $12.6 billion has been set aside for all institutions of higher learning. However, it's going to be based upon your Pell Grant recipients. So that's interesting because a lot of students that are HBCUs receive full Pell Grant. So that's going to be interesting. So that's some money they'll get from that. The other bit of money that's set aside for HBCUs was about $1.6 billion. That money is going to come through about 3 different organizations. It's going to come down through the Thurgood Marshall College Fund, the United Negro College Fund, and then there's this other organization I can't think of. I said 2, but I forgot 3. It's going to be, of course, the Department of Higher Ed Department of Education. So the money's going to come down through that, but that's going to come through the Title III funding. But going back to those 2 organizations, and so they've already been in contact with HBCUs. They already are making sure that they are keeping them well aware of how the money is going to come down and how much you're going to get. And this is going to be a relief, especially, and Dr. Osby knows, for HBCUs, because there's a lot of things that these schools didn't have in place. Like most of them offer online learning already, but then you talk about the infrastructure of having to push where you may have had less than 1,000 students on online classes, and now you got 3,000 plus. So there's a lot of infrastructure. And then you got professors who know basic stuff. They know how to go in the classroom and present in the class, but now there's a learning curve for not just the students, but even some professors on how this information is going to come down.
Also, we want to say to parents out there too that I can keep bringing this word up about opportunity. When you before you didn't think your kid was going to be able to afford college education, there's going to be some opportunities out there. That now you can get these online classes to get your degree, and they're going to be at a cost, and you may have some scholarships. I'll make sure that. You should stay abreast of those, and we'll continue to share.
I'll add also, there are some things that's changing. Even now, there are some colleges that have done away with their process for accepting students, first-time freshmen. They're doing away with the ACT and the ACT requirement for the application process, and so things are really, really different. And this is the time to really take advantage of these opportunities, because
Harvard and Yale is offering free classes that they've never offered before, and probably many of us could not afford. So there's opportunity. I think I signed up for one of them that's coming up soon. So I want to wrap up this conversation about self-care through all of this. Taking opportunities, staying committed, accessing information. many of us women, we already had 10 hats to wear. And now we got another something else dropped in our basket. We have to think differently. We have to shift. My daughter, I have to shout out to her, Tiffany, if you're listening. She has been so wonderful because she constantly says to me, "Ma, stop thinking. Stop thinking." It's like, you don't have to always be thinking about what you got to do next, the new idea. And it's so funny, she even texts me now at 2 a.m. in the morning and tell me, stop thinking on my text, because she knows at 2 a.m. in the morning, I'm probably still working. So I know I'm not the sole person that's like that. So I'm going to say to you, let's talk, Dr. Osby, just a little bit about self-care and what we need to do to make sure that we stay whole and balanced through all of this process.
Well, yeah, I'd like to give out a couple of numbers and a couple of tools that I think. I want to go back to this around domestic violence. If you're finding yourself in a situation, and if you can at all call in terms of getting some help, contact the Mississippi Hotline on Domestic Violence. That number is 1-800-898-3234. It's the Mississippi Hotline on Domestic Violence. You can easily look that one up. There's also the Mississippi Coalition Against Domestic Violence. I have to give Wendy Mahoney a shout out. She does a great job with the all 12 of the domestic violence shelters around the state, but we definitely need more domestic violence shelters with 82 counties. Okay, I'll leave it at that. But also, I've heard of people who are getting depressed around this time, who are facing some real mental health issues. They may not be able to get to their therapist, get to their medication. There's all sorts of things. So contact the Department of Mental Health, okay, for Mississippi. And the Mississippi Department of Mental Health telephone number is 1-877-210-8513. Let me give that real quick again. 1-877-210-8513. A lot of mental health places are doing telemedicine now. So if you call them, if you can go online, they can help you walk through the issues until they can get you face-to-face to a therapist if that's what you need. Now, two things that I would highly recommend for people in terms of doing some self-care at this point. We talked about, starting now to start planning and thinking and some of the things that you may need to do. I like doing a SWOT analysis. Okay? And a lot of people in business use this in terms of doing strategic planning. I do it for my life.
Wow.
Okay. So you can do it on a personal and business, professional, but your career. And SWOT stands for strengths. The W stands for weaknesses. The O stands for opportunities. And the T stands for threats. So list all of your strengths. List what weaknesses that you perceive that may be blocking you. The list of opportunities that you can see. And the more you think about that, the more opportunities will come out. And then list the threats that you perceive that to come up in terms of that. It's a very useful tool, both for professionally, but also personally as well. Okay. And the other thing I would say is what you think becomes reality. Okay. So if you keep thinking negative thoughts, that's what you're going to bring to you. Okay. And the two most powerful words in the universe are I am, because whatever you put behind that, that's what you're going to draw to you. So I do a lot of affirmations, and my students must think that I'm the craziest woman on the planet right now, because after I put up a PowerPoint for them to study in the material, my last PowerPoint is always an affirmation for the day, because I want them to start thinking more positively and thinking about what's going to happen on the other side of this. So telling yourself something very simple like, the day may be difficult, but the best is yet to come. Okay. I am powerful and I am loved. Whatever you need to do in terms of highlighting some of those positive attributes and bringing those to the fore, because your mind will wheel around with a lot of negative thoughts. You have to combat that, and you have to consciously do that because that didn't come naturally to us. The negative comes naturally to us. So start thinking more positively. You can look online and get a whole list of affirmations that you can use. Just pick one out every day and start utilizing that and giving to your children. I've also sent out to students YouTube videos on how to meditate, YouTube videos on how to do deep breathing exercises, because those things are simple, but they're effective. And we have to start putting those things through our day. So if we can get used to doing that while we're in isolation, when we get back to the hustle and bustle later on, you'll have those tools and you can incorporate those tools and you'll be better off in the long run.
That's amazing. And SWOT analysis, you can just Google SWOT analysis and it'll come up and it'll give you the details of that. That's all over the website. That was just powerful information, Dr. Osby. That is just amazing. Thank you so much, Teresa Kennedy, for your insight and your resources that you shared. Thank you so much, Teresa Jones, for all of the information politically. This has been an amazing conversation, I tell you, and so important for us. And we're going to, as Teresa Kennedy states, we're going to post up some links and information on our Facebook page, and we'll share it not only to our Women for Progress page, but to our group page. We're also going to be setting up a page specifically on our website also, that people can have a list of links or information and resources that you can have, and you can go there, and we'll try to have that link up by the end of the day. But also, if you have some resources, you have some information you want to share with us so we can share it out there with others, we want you to email us at mail, M-A-I-L, at womenforprogress.net, or text us at 601-259-6770, or you can send it to our Women for Progress page, and then we will approve it and then get it posted also. So we okay.
Really quick before we go, I know we had talked about we would touch on the census, and I did get some updated information about the census.
Okay.
That I think it'd be good to share. And this is actually some pretty good news.
Sure.
The numbers are higher than I thought they would be. So they had that 45.1% of households have responded to the census.
Wow.
Already. And in Mississippi, 44.4% of households have responded. And so they want to keep that momentum going. If you know anyone, if you hadn't done it yet, I strongly encourage you all to go online. And most of these people have been responding online. There have been millions.
Look, I was laying on my sofa, Teresa, with my phone and completed mine. And I was just surprised how it just in minutes, I was able to do that on my phone, laying on my sofa, watching TV. I answered the census. So it is very easy.
It'll take 10 minutes, but I think it'll take maybe 5 minutes because, I mean, they're asking you basic questions.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to tell the truth. Tell how many people really are in your household.
Yeah.
But I wanted to share the number breakdown for Hinds County. So Jackson alone, 46% have responded to the census.
Wow.
Clinton, 57, Byron, 51, Edwards, 51, Bolton, we got to get those numbers up. Bolton's only 22%. Utica, 47.6. Raymond, got to get those numbers up. Only 23 have responded. Terry, 45, and Learn, Mississippi, at 47. So that's pretty good at the self-response rate for Hinds County. We got to get that Bolton and Raymond numbers up, but continue to push that. If you see it pop up on your Facebook page, although you may have submitted it, I would just encourage you all to share it, maybe to remind someone else.
And let's make a list every day of 5 people we can call and say, have you completed the census? Because let's be honest, many of us just have put it off because we know I'm going to fill it out. But let's call on each other, especially us as women. Call on our sisters, our associates, our friends, and say, have you completed the census? Text 5 people a day and just say Census 2020. Remind them, hashtag Census 2020. Put it in the link in the text so they can just click on it and fill it out and complete it very easily when you remind them. So I take that back. Don't put in there Census 2020. Put the link in there, and just so to say that if they have not done it, they can click on it and go ahead and complete it. So let's do that and make sure that and I'm going to just put out a charge out there to the city of folks that are in the city of Jackson. Teresa said that number was 46%, which was a little lower than Madison and Clinton and some of those other areas. So I'm shouting out to the citizens of Jackson right now. Go and fill out. Let's. By the time we have this conversation again, let's be at 60%. Okay. So all of us out there, let's make sure that we complete that. So that's good news. Thank you for sharing that, Teresa. Again, I want to say thank you from Women for Progress of Mississippi. We want to remind you that you have a friend in us. You have a friend in us. You have a friend in us. And call on us at email, MAIL at womenforprogress.net. Our cell number is 601-259-6770. We are extremely responsive to our calls. If you don't get us the first time, leave a message, send us an email, and we will respond to you with your needs or your questions, your concerns. So we're in this thing together. Be reminded of it. And thank you so much. And I'm sure probably Teresa is our director, one of our directors of Lunch and Learn. So Teresa, we might be doing virtual again for the month of May. We'll see how this thing rocks and rolls. So we'll begin to think about it. But thank you all so much.
May, I will say this, mm-hmm. May is, and Dr. Oxby can correct me on it, I think it's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Wow.
Right, yeah.
And so I have been talking to someone who actually lives in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania,
wow.
who wanted to come down and be with us. So we may have Dr. Osby back, and along with, I think his name is Dr. Wright.
Okay.
He's the nephew of Miss Flunzy Brown Wright.
Okay.
So he's done quite a bit of work and research around mental health, and he actually works for the city of Philadelphia as well. So there's a lot he can offer us. But we'll talk more and share more with our Facebook page about that and how it will be presented. You all have a wonderful week, and if you feel yourself having cabin fever, I would suggest take a walk. I've been doing a lot more walking than I normally would, but that's only because I normally would be playing tennis. So I've been walking more. Teresa too, I think.
Yeah, my 13-year-old grandson gets up every morning and out early on his own and goes out and takes a walk. He leaves his FaceTime on so we know where he is and can connect with him, but he takes a walk and come back. So there are so many ways that we can share. Thank you so much. We're also still taking membership at Women for Progress, and please reach out to us by email, and we'll connect you with the incredible Miss Vicki Mumford, our Director of Membership. We'll connect you and walk you through the process of joining our organization and empower that work. So I want to end this conversation by giving just a couple of shout outs to some members out there that, gosh, with these women, if you're a member, I remember the founder used to say to me sometimes when I started giving people's bios and sharing who they are and introducing them, she said, look, just say that they're a member of Women for Progress, because you know if they're a member of Women for Progress, you know they are rolling and rolling and doing things, you know. But shout out to Miss Thea Faulkner, who is the Director of Partners in Education and the Parent and Community Center. She has been, even though school has been out, she has been taking the charge in leadership in really making sure that parents are food secure and that they're getting meals and kids are being fed. And she's organizing and bringing partners together from all over the city and all over our state to empower families with making sure that they have food and other things. And she has just been amazing with that. So shout out to Miss Thea Faulkner, a member of Women for Progress that is doing amazing things. And also Miss Pauline Rogers, who is, again, pulling together resources to make sure that not only those who are incarcerated, but those who have families that are of incarcerated individuals, and also her community in general, making sure that they get supplies, empowering women with a lot of the supplies that they need, those that are in help. So shout out to Pauline Rogers. There's an article on Miss Pauline Rogers in the Clarion Ledger this week. So reach out to Clarion Ledger online or either the local paper and get that article. It's an amazing article about the work that she's doing. And she's been doing this for years and years and years. And Miss Pauline, in addition to all the work that she's doing and how fantastic she is a person with a most huge heart. and somebody you definitely want to meet. So if you have not met her, reach out to her on Facebook and her Reach Foundation, RECH Foundation. She's doing incredible work. Also, make a list of women-owned businesses that are still out there, that are rocking, rolling from their homes. Make sure that when we can, that we're buying from women-owned businesses. Strands of Faith, which is a women-owned business, Miss Amika Coleman is doing. I just hear that her last product shipment of stuff sold out. She has great product. I'm out of your stuff, Amika, if you hear me. I had to use some commercial stuff this morning, so I'll be reaching out to you when you get your shipment in. There's so many other women-owned businesses. Lawyers, at this time of the what we're going through in the crisis, call on women-owned businesses that are lawyers, doctors. I heard about a new clinic, and we'll be sharing on tomorrow. There's a new women-owned clinic on Terry Road that just opened. Some other new women-owned businesses. So make sure that we're reaching out to women-owned businesses and utilizing their services during this time. Okay, I'm going to close up by saying tomorrow, be here virtually for the Working Woman Report from 12 to 1. We'll be talking to two amazing women and about their work in the state of Mississippi, and we'll continue to share information with you. Remind you again, go to our Facebook page, and we're going to have that page up on our website very quickly to have resources there for you to get. So bye, everybody. Thank you so much for being part of the conversation. Thank you all so much for tuning in. All right. Bye-bye.
Take care.